reviewing 45, 45, 90 triangles, and I'm going to go over this just for a second, and then this will be your homework for tonight. See how it's just one side? All right. 45, 45, 90 triangles. You might want to draw this at the top of your paper. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Okay, so we've got 45, 45, and 90. Now remember, if these are both the same angle, then these sides are both the same lengths. Okay? And then our hypotenuse is square root 2 as big, so x times square root 2. This is because if I was going to do the Pythagorean theorem, x squared plus x squared equals something squared, right? X squared plus x squared is 2x squared. You don't need this part. This is just my explanation. Equals this squared. If I wanted to know what this was, I would have to square root everything. The square root of 2 I can't do, but what's the square root of x squared? X times what gives me x squared? What times what gives me x squared, guys? X. See how this is the same as this? That's where I'm getting this from. It's just a shortcut. Okay, let's do a hard one. Because we've done this before, so let's do one that's difficult. How about 7? 7 sound good? Okay. This is just a side. I need to find out what my hypotenuse is. So I simply need to times this right here. This is like it's my x. So I need to take this and times this by the square root of 2. There is no talking while I'm talking. 2 times 2 is what, guys?
4.
What's the square root of 4?
2.
So 3 times 2 over 2. What's 3 times 2?
6.
What's 6 divided by 2?
3.
So that's what this is right here. That's 3. This has to be the same. So n has to be 3 square root 2 over 2. My hypotenuse right there is 3. Remember, if you have the hypotenuse and there's not a square root of 2 with it, you have to divide by the square root of 2. Okay? Can't have a square root 2 on the bottom. All right. We're going to stop this and we're going to transition to our notes for today. I'm taking this away. You should have this packet in front of you. You're going to need this for today and tomorrow. Okay. Let's read all the directions first, and then we'll actually do it. Using one copy of your unit circle, see how we have 2 copies of the unit circle? 1, 2. Because you have a packet, yes? Right? 2 pages. We have 3 pages here, the directions. 2 unit circles. We can rip off those directions and unstaple those unit circles right away. Okay, so now I'm going to zoom in. We're going to read these directions. Using one copy of the unit circle and a protractor, draw a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Stop talking. With a hypotenuse of 1 in 1 quadrant. We're going to do that together, so don't do it yet. And then we'll draw a 30, 60, 90 triangle with a hypotenuse of 1 in a different quadrant. We're going to do that tomorrow. And we're going to cut these 2 special right triangles out. Then we're going to use our cutouts, special right triangles, and find all the unique ways to place the triangle on the new unit circle. We're going to draw on these triangles with the colored pencils, and using a protractor, we're going to find all the angles and mark them off. So the first thing I want you to do is take one of these, like this. See this quadrant right here? We're going to just use that quadrant. I'm going to take my protractor. You can take a small or a little one. I'm going to use it with a big one. A small or a big one is what I meant to say. To be able to do this, I'm going to draw a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So I'm going to take the center where I've got a hole right here in my protractor, or where 2 lines meet, and I'm going to stick it right on top of the origin, or 0, 0, on my unit circle. I'm going to make sure the lines line up perfectly. And then I'm going to put a little dot where it says 45 degrees, which would be right here. So far, so good? I'll leave it here for a second. Make sure, if you're using a smaller one, look, this is what mine looks like. Well, mine looks just like yours. See that little arrow? I make sure it's right at 0, 0. Yeah. Okay. make sure that 90 lines up, and I make a mark at 45 degrees. Okay. Okay, once I have that mark, I'm going to make a line from 0, 0 through that mark all the way through. So it needs to make sure you cross your circle. Jalen, put your phone down and do this right now. Once you have this line, you're going to make a 90 degree, well, a straight line, 90 degrees with this. See how my arrow shows up right here where it says 90 degrees? Then I want this part to intersect with where it intersects my circle and my line. And I'm going to draw a line straight down. Let's go. Okay. You need to label the angles, but we need to label the angles in the inside of the triangle. Where do they need to go? Inside. If they're on the outside, when we cut it out, it will not work. Okay, so inside the triangle, right? This right here is 45 degrees. We measured it. This right here is 90 degrees. It forms a right angle. You can just make this little mark right here, or you can write 90. It doesn't matter. This right here is also 45 degrees. Okay. When we cut this out, I want you to be careful. I don't want you to cut out this part of the circle. You're just cutting this out. So don't cut the whole thing in half, okay? Just cut this out. So that's what we should all be doing right now. Cutting out this 40, you should have 45, 45, 90 written down. And now we're going to cut it out. I'm going to literally cut right down this line. Then I'm going to cut right up. You want to make it as accurate as possible. It works out best if you do it that way. Just this tiny triangle, so you should have this. Yes, well. No. It is, but see how it looks like I just removed this right from here. But that's okay, well, keep going. Cut it out. Okay. So now that I have this cut out, I'm going to place it on my unit circle. Once you have it cut out, I know it's going to take everybody a minute. Once you have it cut out, you should place it on your unit circle. The blank one. So you should have one blank one where you've got stuff cut out of it. I'll cut it out. Once you have it cut out, you use your protractor and wait for 45 degrees to go. Do not do that one.
That's what you were doing.
Okay. All right. You're going to take just one color. Just one color. Before we do that, we're going to mark on this triangle on both sides. If this hypotenuse is 1, what are the two sides going to be if it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle? So we need to think about this. I'm using a separate piece of paper to write this down so we can think about this. Okay? We know, I just went over this for our homework, that if we have a 45, 45, 90 triangle, these are both x, and this is x square root 2. How are we going to get, if we know x square root 2 equals 1, what do I do to solve for x? Divide by the square root of 2. So x equals 1 square root 2. Can we have a square root 2 on the bottom? So what do we do to get it off the bottom? Do you guys remember? Yes, Layla.
Multiply
Top and bottom by the square root of 2. So I'm going to multiply square root of 2 on the top, square root of 2 on the bottom. What's 1 times the square root of 2? Just square root 2. What's 2? What's square root 2 times square root 2? What's 2 times 2?
4.
What's the square root of 4?
2.
There we go. So we're going to make both of these square root 2 over 2. Both of these square root 2 over 2. I know some people got this and others of you were like, I don't know what she's talking about. It is review. We did do this already, okay? But if you forgot, that's why I'm giving you homework tonight based on this, so we can feel like we got it down. Now, see, I only have this on one side. I'm going to flip it over and have everything on this side. Remember, I need the 45, 45 degrees. I need to know that this is 90. I need to know this is 1. I need to know this is square root 2 over 2, square root 2 over 2. Let's pause for a minute and talk just a little bit more in detail about this. These angles are 45 degrees, correct?
Yes.
This angle is 90. This length of this side is 1 unit. Okay, I'm making up the unit. It's not 1 inch, it's not 1 centimeter, okay? I'm saying it's unit 1, all right? These two sides are unit square root 2 over 2, okay? All right. This is the fun part. We are going to trace this onto our blank unit circle. So I'm going to place this 45, 45, 90 degrees right here. And I'm going to take a colored pencil and I'm going to draw this line. And I'm going to draw this line. Now, we're going to think of this as like a coordinate plane, right? Where this right in the middle, that point would be 0, 0, correct? Does that make sense? I'm going to go square root 2 to the, over 2 to the right and square root 2 over 2 up. So right here, yes. So you should not, like, this cutout piece should be put to the side. Your cutout should be on top of your blank one. If you didn't do it, just do that now. You should have this. See how I traced it? It should be prettier than that, hopefully, than mine is. Okay? Now, I went square root 2 over 2 to the right, and I went square root 2 over 2 up to get from 0, 0 to that point. And then we're going to write right along this line that that's 45 degrees. Okay, so I traced this. We're okay with that, right? Do we get, if this is 0 degrees right here, I went 45 degrees? Better? Okay. And if I went to this point, I went over square root 2 over 2, up square root 2 over 2? Everybody should have this down. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to flip it over the y-axis. We're going to reflect it, right? We're going to take still that same blue pencil and we're going to trace it on our paper. Okay. This is not 45 degrees anymore, is it? If we're going from here, we went all the way to here. Okay? So I'm looking at this whole angle right here. How can I figure out what that angle is then? We can add it. We can go 90 plus 45. Right? We can literally take out our protractor and we could measure it. Okay? I like 90 plus 45 more. I feel like that's the most accurate thing instead of looking at that protractor. So we should have right here, this should be 135 degrees. Okay, now let's talk about this part. I want to know what this point is right here. If this is 0, 0. Which way did I go? Say it louder. Somebody said it. I went negative square root 2 over 2, right? Up square root 2 over 2. Right? If this way is positive, the opposite way has to be negative. Okay, before we move on, what degree is this right here? This is 90. Okay. What do you guys think? If I went 0 to this point right here at the top of this unit circle, what do you think that would be? I went over how much?
0.
0. I went over 0. Now the hard part. How much did I go up?
1.
Good. Do you guys see this? Look at this. That length is the same, right? And that's 1. Okay, so now we've got at 0 degrees, it's 1 comma 0. At 45 degrees, it's square root 2 over square root 2. At 90 degrees, it's 0 up 1. At 135 degrees, it's negative square root 2 over square root 2. Yes, Leila?
So for the bottom side, will it just be like the same, but both of them are like...
Like if when we flip it this way?
Yeah.
Well, let's figure it out right now. So let's flip it over. We're going to reflect it across the x-axis. We're going to trace our happy little triangle. All right, let's talk about this. Before we move on, what's this degree right here along this line? If I go from 0 all the way over to here, how many degrees is this? 180, good. Okay, and I went over how much? Let's look. Oh, look at that. It's 1, right? But I went to the left, so it can't be positive 1.
Negative 1?
It's negative 1, and I went up how much? 0, good. Good. Okay. Yes, you should be doing the same color for all of us. Now, I reflected over the x-axis. So this is 180 plus 45 more. What is that? What's 180 plus 45 more degrees? You got calculators. 225. Okay. Now let's think about this. If I'm at 0, 0, I go which way? Positive or negative first? Which way am I going? You're going positive? So if I'm at 0, 0, I go positive square root 2 over 2. I'm not over here. I want to be down here. So which way am I going? I'm going to the left. That's what?
180.
Negative. Negative square root 2 over 2. And then I'm negative square root 2 over 2, and I want to get to this point right here. How much am I going? I'm at this point right here, guys. I want to get to here. Negative square root 2 over 2. because I went down and to the left. I went to the left and negative, right? Okay, let's reflect it over the y-axis and draw this in. Okay. So before we move on, how many degrees is this down here? This is 0, 90, 180. This is 270. 270, yeah. We've talked about this with our rotations. This is 270 degrees right here. Actually, you guys should write it right here if you haven't written it yet. Okay. So I'm at 0, 0. How do I get down here? I go down, I go right or left?
Right.
I go right to get down here.
Oh no, down.
I go right or left from 0, 0.
Left.
I go left, so I go over here.
No.
Am I going right or left at all?
Right. No.
No, it's 0. See how this is directly below it? I didn't go right or left at all, right? How much did I go down?
-1.
Down, -1. Good. It does, like, once you figure it out, it's like, oh, duh. But, like, when you're first looking at it, I agree with you guys. It's rough. Okay, this is 270. This is 45 more degrees away. So what's 270 plus 45 degrees?
315.
Yes. This is 315 degrees. Okay, I'm here at 0, 0. I want to get to this point right here, guys. How do I get there? I go which way? Right or left? Right, how much?
1.
Square root 2 over 2. See, it's written right here on the top. Square root 2 over 2. And then I'm going to go down how much? So is that positive or negative? Negative. Okay. We're just going to do that much today because I feel like that blew your minds enough. Okay? You cannot lose either of these. See this cutout? We're going to cut out another triangle out of it tomorrow. Do not lose it. See this piece right here? You're going to need this for the whole unit. So don't leave this. This little 45, 45, 90 might be helpful to have, but if you lose this, it's not the end of the world. Okay? No. You need to keep track of your own stuff. Okay? 45. These two things, this is your homework for tonight right here. You can work on this. You got 15 minutes to work on it.